I'm very glad to present Holly Reshmati from University of Warwick. And her work is Opportunities and Challenges when Addressing Mathematics and Science in School-Age Girls.
Thank you very much. So my name is Holly Reshmati. I work in Center for Teacher Education at Warwick. So I work with trainee teachers on maths. And I'm going to answer some very big questions in the next 15 minutes. Obviously, I won't have all the answers, but I'll try to just talk about the importance of teacher resilience to support students with mathematical resilience. So I thought it's better always to start with what do I mean by the concept of resilience. It's been introduced in the last 5 days. So we all know that to be able to build resilience, we need to have existence of challenges. So that's the first principle there. The second one is about how do I define it in the context of teaching and schools. So if we just look at the definition from Comfort, we're looking at a way teachers will interact with the context, which is a school, and they use strategies to build everyday resilience. So this is the definition I'm looking at, the interactions between the individual and the context with individuals using agency to develop everyday resilience. So why resilience is important for teachers? It's received lots of attention in the last 20 years especially, and it's been defined as shifting landscape working as a teacher. And what do I mean by that? If we think about globalization, diverse communities, expectations from teachers in terms of accountability, and outcome, we feel like the teaching is becoming more and more challenging. Therefore, we really need this concept of teacher resilience. There is another issue that we have in some countries, including UK, and that's issues with teacher retention, where we just really we struggle to recruit teachers in STEM subjects, including maths. And also that idea of heavy workload, teacher well-being, and all of those which is driving more people away from teaching. We feel like post-pandemic, this issue is becoming actually more with the flexibility to work from home and all of those ideas for younger generations, so teaching becoming less attractive for some. So what sort of challenges teachers will have in their profession? So if we just look at some of the points from the literature, we will see the first one refers to that idea of lack of professional resilience, so not having the mastery of the subject, not having the self-efficacy. And we talked about that a lot again in the last few days. The reluctance to seek help, lots of literature actually says this is the most significant one for maths teachers, because sounds like many people who come to the maths teaching, they feel like they have to be competent, self-sufficient, and that's somehow related to the environment and the way we've been actually educated in maths lessons most of the time, the expectations that we work independently. And then we've talked about some of the issues with the practice, again refers back to the idea of mastery. And then when teachers work in an environment, when the school leadership is supportive, and the heavy workload, which as I said, is just becoming more and more important. Sounds like we have policies which claims that they will support reducing the workload for teachers, but in practice, we still have those issues. So looking at a framework for resilience, again, I think there are different aspects we need to consider when we talk about resilience. So the first one is about the sort of challenges actually teachers have in their practice, what sort of environment they're working at, what sort of coping strategies they can use, what sort of interactions are between the teacher and the environment. And when I'm talking about the environment, I'm referring to students, their parents, other stakeholders as well, school leaders, and so that's what I mean by the environment interactions. What sort of processes will actually facilitate resilience, and what's the outcome? I really want to move away from this concept of the outcome, because I think if we talk about resilience, we really need to focus on the processes. And unfortunately, sounds like we work in an education system which is more interested in that. And I think there is always a conflict between building resilience and the outcome. The reason I'm just making that claim, that sometimes we have that experience of building resilience, but the outcome shows itself long time after the experience of the resilience, maybe in 5 years, 6 years. So we shouldn't be really seeking for outcomes which are quite immediate. So referring back to individual resilience, again, I got this from psychology, where it says that individuals to build resilience but also actually develop different aspects of resilience. So that refers to the professional resilience, I talked about it, refers to the mastery of the teaching and having a high self-efficacy. Teachers having the motivation, social, emotional, and physical resilience. I've got some examples of each in the next few slides, which I'm going to share with you. So I think I unpacked the idea of professional resilience a lot, and most literature actually says that teachers who show resilience, they show a high professional resilience. So those who have the mastery of the subjects, those who have high self-efficacy, they tend to be more resilient. And I think they make some links to some disciplines, such as the sports or athletes tend to be actually more resilient. And most of it comes because of this idea of having a higher self-efficacy or the mastery of what they're doing. In terms of the motivations, if we think about the motivations in teaching, I think one of the big challenges we have is when there is a mismatch between those sorts of views we have for teaching and the reality of the teaching in the classroom. So all of us, we came to teaching with the idea that we're going to help students improve their learning, develop mathematical resilience. However, the realities of the classroom sometimes, those sorts of education system which focuses on outcome, improving outcome for students, and a system where we're just teaching for exams. We think that sometimes actually creates issues in terms of motivations. One of the things which I've added here is internal locus of control. I'm going to actually change that to agency because I looked at the definition between the two, and I realized that when we talk about internal locus of control, it refers to individuals having the sort of belief that they can take control of their own behavior and action. And I think when we talk about agency, we're thinking about actually having the belief that we can actually have impact on others' actually behavior and action as well. So making changes in the society, like the way we talk about promoting growth mindset. So not only promoting growth mindset for myself, but creating changes in the environment around as well. The social aspect of resilience that comes in the mathematical resilience work as well, I would say probably is the most significant one in terms of the environment around teachers, enabling them to develop resilience. And that refers to those sorts of relationships that individuals can build with the environment around them. Really interesting that, again, most literature says that maths teachers are the ones which are the most reluctant to actually seek help. And again, I can just relate that to the way maths is taught in schools, that idea of that you develop mathematical skills independently on your own, probably making many maths teachers developing that sort of fixed mindset that actually I can only do it on my own. And then emotional resilience, again, is something really relevant for teachers, because if we think about challenges, one of the issues for a teacher could be in face of challenging, actually losing motivations and struggling to regulate emotions. The idea here about happiness, I really struggle with that. I think I mentioned in one of the sessions we had as well. I think we need to change that probably to meaningful experiences for teachers, which will make the profession fulfilling for them, rather than that idea of seeking happiness all the time, which I think is quite impossible if we think about the realities. And then emotional intelligence, teachers being able to actually depersonalize the challenges they have. Physical resilience, again, we talked about it, I think, in the relaxation strategies we were talking about for students, the hand model of the brain probably, and all of those refers to the physical resilience. If I want to talk about physical resilience, is the three concepts of exercise, diet, and sleep, but also is for teachers to engage with physical activities or hobbies which can actually help them as a exercise, which will help them to rejuvenate and be able to recover from the challenges. So talking about those 5 aspects of resilience, I did an intervention with teachers. This is a research which I did. Is that 5 minutes to the 20 minutes, yeah? So I have to be very quick, yeah? So it was an intervention which I did with the teachers to actually help them with resilience building. I'm going to talk about only 2 of them, which was the connectedness and stress management, because I thought they're really relevant to maths resilience as well. So every teacher who actually participated in this research had to just go and just connect with 5 relational links, we call them. So when they had challenges, they will go and talk to these relational links about the challenge they had. They will try to find a strategy to overcome it, but even if they don't find any strategy to overcome that challenge, like if they were struggling with classroom management and all of those, at least it will be an opportunity for them to go and try to just develop emotional resilience through talking to somebody, even if they don't have the solutions. So that was the first thing we did, and the idea was to actually for teachers to first develop self-efficacy, that they are not alone on their own with challenges. When they talk to others, they realize that other teachers also struggle, and also for them to develop coping skills. For the stress management, we use the growth zone model, and this is actually with the teachers to identify exactly the way it was explained, identify whether if they're in the anxiety zone or the comfort zone, what they need to do actually with the help of relational links again. I'm going to just move on and go to the questions about discussion because I'm conscious that we're running out of time. So the question I wanted to actually ask today, one of them is, what do we think are the factors which are depleting teacher resilience? The question which is really important for me today is that how we can support teachers to help their students with their mathematical resilience. That's all from me. Thank you.